Thanks to MPB for sponsoring today's video. There is a deep urge inside every photographer, a forever growing longing instilled to us by our hunter-gatherer ancestors. The wish, nay, the inexplicable longing for a Leica M camera. And this right here is the cheapest one. This is the tale of how I fell in love with the Leica M8 and managed to completely destroy it, all on my very first day of using it. Leica M cameras have been around longer than you and me together, buddy. There is no other camera on the planet that kept true to its DNA as vigorously as the legendary Leica M system. Thousands of years ago, many ancient civilizations actually believed the design of the Leica M cameras to be the slickest they is, quoting Will Smith's 1999 hit record Wild Wild West. Okay, I made that up. Anyways, let's go take some photos.
I'm gonna break down. I've been acting like a good girl way too long. Gonna break down. Cause looking at her face just makes me go. What you wanna say, what you wanna do, don't you wanna play? I'm not done with you. I'm just gonna break down. That's what I say.
With the Leica M8 being released in 2006 as the very first digital M camera, there are exactly two reasons why anybody would still buy this camera almost 20 years after release. First, obviously because it's the cheapest digital Leica M camera, and second, because of its legendary sensor. Hidden behind the shutter curtain that won't open anymore due to the fatal whoopsie-daisy incident of 25, more on this later, is the legendary 10 megapixel CCD sensor created by Eastman Kodak. In 2006, full-frame sensors weren't quite there yet, and the M8 sports a smaller APS-H sensor, which I really don't mind though. As an avid Fujifilm user, a good crop sensor really gets my automatic film advance going. CCD sensors have gotten a second shot at fame in the past few years, with many older cameras featuring this sensor technology being repopularized by people blabbering on YouTube, just like I'm doing right now. People claim these sensors have some kind of magic in them that give you a film-like color rendering. I always believe that it doesn't really matter because in the end I'm just putting a RAW file into Lightroom and then, to quote Will Smith again, get jiggy with it. If you too want to get jiggy with it in Lightroom, go check out my Analog Vibes Volume 2 Lightroom presets. Every single image in this video was edited with that preset pack, and I'm gonna leave a heavy discount for you in the description. The thing is, I love editing my photos, and I feel like I can squeeze good colors out of just about any camera short of a webcam, but I also can't deny that there's something about these images, and I had the same feeling when I was testing the Leica M9 last year, which also has a CCD sensor. There's something about these images which I don't really know how to verbalize. Without editing, I don't really like how the images look at all, to be honest, but when editing, I feel like something about the underlying color science just meshes with my editing style. Which makes sense, I guess, with my style being heavily inspired by film and people saying CCD sensors have a natural film-like quality. But let me know in the comments if you feel like you can see a difference, because I'm not 100% sure.
I think I'm gonna break down. I've been acting like a good girl way too long. Gonna break down. Cause looking at her face just makes me go. What you wanna say, what you wanna do, don't you wanna play? I'm not done with you. I'm just gonna break down. That's what I say. Wait.
I had an absolute world record hit rate with this camera. I don't know if it's the camera, the beautiful Spanish city of Palma, or I'm just good at my job. No, I don't think that's it. But for some reason, almost all of the photos I took with this camera were keepers, which is incredible considering my general spray and pray attitude. I only had a single very old battery, and I was pretty worried about running out of juice and not being able to take photos anymore. That ended up making me much more selective with my shots because I knew this old ass battery could crap out on me at any point. In the end, the battery turned out to be the absolute least of my worries though. But let's talk about the lens I'm using on the M8. This is a Leica M 50mm f2.8. Definitely one of the cheaper options when it comes to Leica M lenses. Yeah, f2.8 isn't crazy, especially on an older camera that isn't exactly something I would call a low light beast. But can we just, for a second, appreciate how fucking incredibly good this combo looks. Call me an objectophile, but the M8 paired with this lens is so sexy, I'm surprised I'm allowed to put this video on YouTube without getting demonetized. Also, it's pretty small and lightweight. You might think due to its kind of weird shape that it collapses down to be even smaller. I thought so too, and there are Leica lenses that can do that, but this is not one of them. And you know what? It doesn't have to, because it still looks cooler than all the stupid generic black cylinder mirrorless lenses I own combined. If you're thinking about getting a Leica M8, there are 4 issues with this camera we need to talk about. Well, 3 of them are hardware issues with the camera. The first problem is where to buy one. Why not at MPB, today's sponsor? MPB is my favorite place to buy and sell used camera gear. You're looking for a Leica? They've got them. Looking for Leica M-mount lenses? They've got them all. Too broke for Leica? They've got loads of stuff for you, like cool old cameras with CCD sensors, which are literally cheaper than the thumb grip for a Leica Q3. And the craziest part is you get a warranty on everything you buy, which is much nicer than just blindly trusting somebody on an online marketplace that the thing you just wired them $1,000 for actually works. Want a Leica M8? You get a warranty. Want a 20-year-old camera to see what this whole CCD sensor thing is about? You get a warranty. Want a Leica lens that is I don't even know how many decades old? You get a warranty. Honestly, shopping with them is a no-brainer, and MPB has been my favorite place to get used gear years before they became a sponsor. They also make selling your old gear super easy. Personally, I think you deserve an upgrade, and you can get a free quote for trading in your gear on their website right now at the first link in the description. And not many people know this, but they've got student discounts. Okay, back to the video. As I said, there are 3 issues with this camera. I'm gonna admit the first one I made up just for the sponsor segue. As with any 19-year-old camera, you unfortunately can't expect there to be no problems. The first one is the sensor's low pass filter, which isn't very good at its job. The sensor is pretty prone to infrared light, which can give you a reddish tint on images. This problem actually pissed people off so bad that Leica ended up sending out screw-on IR cut lens filters to everybody who had purchased an M8 back in the day. I actually didn't use one for all of these shots, which I've shown in this video, and they turned out fine. But if I was shooting anything where realistic color reproduction was remotely important, for example a fashion shoot or something like that, I would definitely use an IR filter to make sure I don't get any weird color casts, because it can be really hard to remove them in post. But this little con can actually be a pro. The sensor's lacking IR filter does mean that you can actually use this camera for infrared photography without modifying the sensor, by using a filter that cuts out infrared light. While I didn't get the chance to try this on the M8 before I broke it, I absolutely love infrared photography, and I've made a whole video where I try IR photography with an unmodified Fuji X100VI and explain everything you need to know to get these crazy looking shots. The second problem with the Leica M8 is the batteries. When buying an M8, there is a good chance the previous owner gives you a handful of old batteries with it. Unfortunately, batteries age like fine milk, and after almost 20 years, most of these batteries don't really have much to give anymore, and you're gonna be popping them like Skittles. Luckily, you can still find third-party batteries online. I'm gonna leave a link in the description. But you still need to watch out with batteries, because problem number 3 can actually be caused by the battery. The third problem with this camera, unfortunately, is quite a fatal one, and is what my M8 suffered from on my very first day of properly using it. While the body of any Leica M camera is built like an absolute tank, the shutter on the M8 is not exactly known to be robust. It's notorious for just locking up and spitting out a shutter fault error message claiming the shutter is being blocked by something. One way this can happen is when your battery is too low. It's possible that the shutter will open partly, but the battery dies midway through, and then the camera lacks the power to complete the actuation, keeping the shutter locked. Somebody online actually recommended that as soon as the battery goes down to 2 bars from the maximum minimum of 3, you should switch the battery. In my case, this issue actually came through something completely different though. While walking through Palma, I was having an absolute blast taking photos. I had the M8 on the official Leica strap it came with around my shoulder until out of absolutely nowhere, I suddenly just feel the weight from the camera disappear, and within a split second, before I could even try to react, I heard something heavy hit the asphalt next to me. I was in absolute disbelief, and it took me a good few seconds to comprehend what even just happened. Somehow this strap had spontaneously decided to detach from the clip. At first I thought the strap might have ripped, but actually these stupid clips make it super easy for the strap to just slip out. While carrying the camera, the strap together with the clips obviously are moving around quite a bit, twisting and turning, and apparently that was enough for the strap to slip in between the two metal pieces of the clip, and from there gravity did its thing. Darn you, Isaac Newton. After I picked it up again, I was surprised because you could actually barely see any damage on the camera. It fell straight onto asphalt from well over a meter, and the only visible damage is a relatively small dent on the corner. Thank God it didn't fall lens first. It ended up sliding over the asphalt on the back side of the screen, but you can't even see a single scratch. These M bodies seriously are built like absolute tanks. The internals, however, not so much. That hit was more than enough for the M8 shutter to throw in the towel, and from that point on, whenever I tried to turn it on, it just angrily beeped at me and flashed motor blocked, shutter fault. Afterwards, when I was googling these error messages in a desperate attempt to find some fix for this camera that is not even mine, I borrowed it from a buddy for this trip, and I ended up finding a plethora of forum posts from M8 owners with shutter issues, and for all of those poor souls, it took significantly less than a big fall. Several of them even claiming the issue just appeared out of the blue. I am unbelievably sad about this. I've been running around with cameras almost as long as I've had enough neurons in my brain to form thoughts, and I never broke anything up until this year. Somehow, this is the third camera I broke in 2025. I belly flopped on my Fuji X100VI, I broke my Hasselblad screen, and now this. I just can't believe this keeps on happening. The Leica M8 is an absolutely beautiful camera, an amazing piece of digital photography history. And in the short time I was able to spend with it, I fell in love with it so quickly that I was convinced this is gonna be my new daily driver camera. Well, I guess I'm gonna send it to Leica now and pay the minimum €700 repair costs they estimated over email. If you want to support me in any way, go check out my Lightroom presets, check out MPB, the sponsor of this video, or just simply subscribe and go watch another video of mine. If you want to see how I broke my Hasselblad, go click here. That was also a very sad state of affairs. And if you want to see my Leica M9 review, go click the other video somewhere over here. Okay, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.